everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Closet. That's right. It's spooky. Welcome to our 13th episode. I'm Allie Beardsley, your host. This is a podcast for people who are in the closet, people who are out of the closet, people who are near the closet. If you're currently in the closet, we're here to keep you company. And we will be discussing coming out, how we did it, and living well, how we do it. That was a brand new intro for me. It was really pieced together.
It's good.
If you're listening to this in its podcast form, know that there is also a video, so you too could know how many candles I'm holding. Spoiler alert, it's only 12. We couldn't find the 13th candle, and he said, baby, it's the light within. Mm-hmm. And I would like for us to all sit with that. Let's pray. No, just kidding. Let's meet our guests. I'm very excited. We have 3 amazing guests today. Who are you? What do you like to do? What are your pronouns? Let's start with you, Annie.
Cool. My name is Annie Paradis. My pronouns are she, her. I started jogging again. It's just been a journey because I haven't jogged in a while. I do comedy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when you say jog, you're like, I'm not pushing myself to run. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to briskly jog.
I'm going to ease into it. I set a 2-minute timer. I jog for 2 minutes. I walk for 2 minutes. I come back in because I broke my foot last year. I've been trying to come back to my body.
I feel like that honestly says a lot about me because I think I would do the same thing, but I would tell people that I run.
Yeah,
I think I just.
That's why I said jog. I was like jogging. I'm not running.
It's
but
very
I'm
honest
jogging.
of you. I would be like, yeah, I started running again. And in my mind, I know I'm kind of jogging for a couple minutes and then I'm walking.
But it's a quick walk. Keep the music up tempo. So everything is there. Yeah, that's been a new development for me.
Love it.
Yeah.
How do you identify?
On the spectrum.
Yeah, on the Kinsey scale. Give us a number now. 1 to 6.
I'm like 4. I don't know.
I'm kidding.
I'm queer. It's been recently bisexual. I thought I was gay for 5 years. So it's been a new coming back out again.
Wow.
I just don't like the phrase bisexual. It feels
that's interesting.
Which I'm sure maybe we'll get. I don't know.
We absolutely have to talk about that.
Yeah, I just feel like it connotates I feel like if you watch the show Bisexual on Hulu, she talks about it, which I really recommend that show, where she's a lesbian and then she realizes she's a bisexual.
Wow.
And so I just feel like it's very Tila Tequila, and it's these hot girls just making out on the weekends, and I'm not a hugely sexual person. I'm just the phrase bisexual has the word sexual in it.
Oh, wow,
so it's been an interesting journey to be and my own internalized, I think there's a word for it, not homophobia, but
biphobia.
Yeah, where I've been I didn't think that was real.
Totally, yeah. You see 0 bisexual men growing up.
Yeah.
All you see are Pepsi sponsored kisses at the VMAs between Madonna and fucking Britney Spears, and you're like, oh cool, that's bisexuality, great.
Yeah. So it's been kind of weird. I feel I do feel I've come out, because a lot of my friends that I was in Philly, they all thought of me as gay, and now that I've dated a few guys out here, it's a lot of my friends are but you're gay. And I'm I don't know.
Ooh, I love that's a really interesting move.
Yeah.
Also Tila Tequila.
Yeah.
Never
rest
forget.
in peace.
No.
Huge Trump support. No, sorry, rest in peace. Sorry, rest in peace in my book. Yeah. Crazy. All right. Liza, who are you?
I'm Liza. Hi. My pronouns are they, them. And what else? Oh, I'm a musician. I identify as queer.
Cool.
Yeah. But that's really interesting. I used to identify more as gay, and I still think about this a lot, how when with all of these different gender identities and like non-binary being such a thing, identifying in a way that's binary, how does that feel?
Yeah.
I don't want to I guess we're going down the line, but I want to talk about that.
Yes, totally.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because it's like, I also identify as non-binary, and if I'm like, I'm gay, it's like, am I gay? I mean, it's so dependent on
Totally.
check the box gender.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I also switched to queer, feels more inclusive, but also it's close, but it's not exactly what I want. Yeah.
Because there's people's expectations, I think, of if you're gay, you know what I mean? And there's no room for you to be in any way different than that binary system.
Yeah.
Which is like so frustrating.
And I feel like when I first came out, I was like, I'm gay. Like, it was so nice to be able to like claim like a very binary gay, because it was fighting back against a very heteronormative like reality. It was like, I'm not like you, I'm gay. And now I'm like so comfortable in like, oh, I am gay, and it's like I don't need to scream that anymore, and I can make space for other people that are,
totally.
Yeah.
Great. And who are you?
I'm David. David Craig. My pronouns are he, him, and I identify as a gay male, married gay male, which I guess kind of illustrates that that's what I currently identify as. I just even thinking out loud right now from what we're all talking about, it's like there is this idea, like how you said, when you come out, it's like you're bouncing against the heteronormative patriarchy of society, and I think that's like a jumping off point for queer people, where we then get to learn who we are, because so many people start to get, if you're born in a heteronormative society and you identify as a heterosexual, you can kind of start learning yourself very young, where I think for us, or at least I can speak for myself, it took me a very long time to even start to even know who I was as a person after that. And I think that that's what is interesting about all of the modern discussions and us getting to be a part of this society is like, as soon as we do have our coming out moment, we get to then learn who we are and learn who everybody else is.
Because you tuck so much of yourself away to be accepted, and so you spend these kind of formative years, middle school, high school, knowing, this isn't acceptable, and what is, and there's just so much of you that you're like, don't think about that, don't even touch it.
You're literally in survival mode until you stay. Also, I do pottery, but we were all giving a simple fact about ourselves.
I am fun.
I don't just do this.
I am fun.
I've been thinking a lot about that, especially because I got, being married and always identifying as gay. It is, and always being in long-term relationships, there's always been this, are we just starting this discussion?
Yes, please.
I feel like there's always this place where even us as queer people put ourselves in boxes immediately after that, and we don't let ourselves learn after that. And so I think it's actually a really beautiful place that we're all in this current society, where we actually get to have these discussions with one another, and Starbucks order our identification.
Yes, absolutely. Totally. Yeah.
So. Well, it's because I felt like with my first girlfriend, she was out, she was gay, and she had many female partners, and for me it was, and so I was still just I think I'm queer and bisexual. I wasn't sure, but it was so interesting that when I'm out with you, I'm gay. By standing with, if someone's gonna see me with you, I'm not queer or bisexual. I'm gay because I'm with another woman. Yep. And then now I'm playing into your and if it's someone that's supportive of that or whatever, then it's okay, I'm your lesbian friend in this context because I'm with my girlfriend, but I'm not gonna get into the nuances with you of well, I'm still attracted to guys. Like, you can't exist in that multiple space, at least for me.
And how does it feel when you're out on a date with, like, say, a cis man or like a man? Just
well, and it feels really, because I've been thinking about this past year of like the idea of not feeling gay enough and not feeling straight enough. Like, and I even think about with my Instagram. So if I like meet a girl I like, I'm like, oh, I hope my Instagram. I hope she can tell I'm gay. Not gay. Yeah, I hope she can tell that that I don't want to just be friends. But then if I meet a guy, I'm like, I hope it's not too like dykey. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
And I'm just like, I'll be like curating it if I met, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
Why should I? Ideally, I would like to date someone that is chill with whatever.
Yes.
But I can see if you're coming in, you're just meeting someone off the top, and you're not used to that. It's like I don't know. It's so,
whoa, there's so much nuance.
Yeah.
I really relate to that with gender.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really feel like a woman or a man, and like when I'm with a bunch of like cis hetero women, like I feel so fucking awkward still, and I'm like almost 29 years old, and I still can't figure that out. And like a group of guys, same thing. It's like, where do I like, how do I fit into this? What are you thinking of me when you look at me? And like all of this fear can come up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I totally relate to that.
and it's like, what would it be like to be in a place where I just where I'm fully don't care, you know, like
Right.
and getting in, and I'm like, there are people that don't care.
Yes. Yeah.
Therapy, man.
Exactly. I would say that's absolutely where I've started to like find my footing.
Yeah.
It is so strange, the like heaviness that we put on gender as like this like concrete important thing that dictates how we act. And when you're outside of that, you're kind of like, what? Like, it almost feels like you don't have, like, gravity doesn't apply, like some huge thing. Yeah. Like when you're with a bunch of guys and everyone starts like punching each other, but no one punches you, and you're like, I don't
do that.
Yeah. Every single cis man punches another cis man. Yeah. It's a greeting. No, but it is just like when moments like that happen and you're like, I don't want to be punched, but is that what? Like, is that what should happen? Or like, you know,
Sometimes do you want to be punched though?
I feel like I want like I guess
I feel
yes.
that.
I don't know. That's such a like weird thing to want to be like punched.
Well,
You want us to punch
Maybe
you?
not
I
right
think
now?
I just want to hang out with people who don't punch. I think
like
that's
that
what I want to
bisexuality.
find. Yeah. I gender identify as someone who doesn't jokingly punch people they like.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think sometimes I'm attracted to like the being brokey, whatever that could be, and it's like this overcompensation thing. I think, you know,
Yeah.
that sometimes comes out, and it's like not trying to stay away from like picking up on all of this toxic masculinity and expressing my own masculinity.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's because we also have to separate the idea of what gender means and what cultural experience means and those sort of things. And you know, as a queer person, you're also having to figure yourself out while also figuring out everyone else. You know, when you're growing up in sort of I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and everybody in a suburb, and it was very heteronormative. Yeah. Everything was, soccer, wrestling. I mean, all of those beautiful sports. No, but you also have to separate, and girls didn't do those things. Yeah. So it was like, and boy, I took gymnastics when I was younger because I loved it. Aww. But, I never viewed it as being a male-female thing until somebody told me it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about what you guys were saying about like being with the bros, and I feel like when I came out, a lot of my brother is like much more supportive and aware of stuff now than he was like 10 years ago when I came out. But I feel like my brother and a lot of my straight guy friends would like talk about women with me in a way where I wasn't comfortable. Like we were walking one time and my friend was just like commenting on a girl's ass, to me, so I'm like, this is so, there's so many levels here, because you're trying to connect with me and you're trying to acknowledge me, so thank you, but I don't want to talk about her body in that way.
I was a server at a restaurant, and all the men that I worked with, when they found out I was gay, then I was given this like slimy secret handshake into like the world of like that kind of toxic masculinity of just like, oh, fucking table two so fucking out, you know, and it's just like the most like grotesque version of like predatory male behavior was like now like, hey, do you want to join us? And it was like, no. Like, you're like, I'm still a feminist. Like,
How did they treat you prior to that? Because that's actually my if you're now showing your true self and they now know who you are, what
super polite in the most scary, like, turn on a dime way, like incredibly polite and respectful, and then it was like, oh wait, what? Like, you hooked up with her. That's so hot. Like, high five. And I'm like, I high-fiving about hooking up with someone, like, sharing a moment.
And you're like
what kind of transactional fucking sexuality?
Well,
like,
especially if it's the type of guys, at least, I don't know for you, but for me, that were like, bullying me in high school. Now I'm getting a high five from you. It's like, what do I do?
Yeah. There's like a really funny meme. I forget where I saw it. But it was like, I honestly, I didn't have to tell you it was a meme. I could have said there was an article, and I didn't do that, and it was a meme. But it was like talking about when someone includes like sexism in the list of things that have changed for them since starting tea. Like, it was like when like people start testosterone and they're like, yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I'm growing hair. I fucking see chicks everywhere and I'm fucking so horny. Like,
you're like,
you know, and you're like, wait, what?
You're like, what has happened? It's
whoa. But that made me laugh because I feel like I have some friends who've started tea and it gets into that zone where you're like, I don't know if this hormone has done that for you, or if you're just like cashing in on something like really insidious.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's the show.
We're gonna end on that inward note.
Yeah, we all just kind of go. We all dissociate.
I think we were all just literally thinking about tea for a minute.
Well, first when you said tea, I thought you meant tea like, what's the tea? Like, like what's going on? Let's
when
spill
you
tea.
Start
and I was like, honestly, when you start gossiping a lot, you're gonna change.
And I literally went to like tea, like drinking tea.
And you could see that in our eyes, and you said, let me backtrack.
Tells a little bit about everyone. So usually on this show, we talk a little bit about how did you come out? What was that like?
I feel like for me, it was always like a knowing, but it wasn't until later on. Like, I came out around like 19, but I didn't date a woman until I was like 24. Mm-hmm. But when I was like 4 or 5, I was like, my brain was like, I was hooking up with this girl. I was making out with my neighbor. But I feel like that to me doesn't necessarily, I feel like a lot of kids do that across the board, but we did. I was thinking about in the car ride here, I was like, oh, we played a game and we called it Wedding Night. And that was the game. That was the game. And I always played the husband. So I was like, yeah, I'm probably gay. Like, I was like, if I'm choosing to be the, you know. And
I played
we would
that
always
game as well.
We would just make out, and it was Wedding Night. And I remember, like, knowing I did that, and then I was in like 6 or 7, and so this was like mid-90s, and you know, like the TV Guide channel would play stuff. Like, it would be what was coming on next, but there would always be like E! News or something, and it was Ellen's old girlfriend, so it wasn't Portia, and it was like
Anne Heche.
Yeah,
the like tiny blonde, and I think Ellen had just come out with her or something, and my dad was in the kitchen, and my dad said something that was like, that's disgusting. Like, he said something that was like very negative about it. And I grew up in like a Catholic Republican house, and I was like, as like a 6-year-old, I was like, I will become a nun then. I remember just being like, I'm gonna be a nun. And so from ages 6 to 8, I would like sit at the dinner table and in my brain be like, gonna miss you guys. Like, oh man.
I had a very similar experience. I remember at a very young age thinking like, okay, you're most certainly, definitely, probably like 100% gay. But it's okay because you don't have to tell anyone. No one's going to know. You're going to find like a nice guy and live your life and it'll be fine. Like you'll be fine. You'll be happy.
As a kid, you're thinking.
As a kid, I was like, it's fine. No one has to know about this.
And it's crazy how that happens without talking to any, like the way we program that.
Yeah,
like there was no,
totally.
you weren't talking to other 6-7-year-olds, you know what I mean?
You're
You're just
right.
like, this is it.
Yeah. Just like recognizing it and then like shutting it down immediately.
Yeah.
Well, because when you recognize, you're like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst news I could possibly get. Me? You know, like, oh, God.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I would rather I was like, the monastery is where I'll go. And you guys, I won't hurt you guys. I remember that was the thought. And then I kind of was just like, I told my mom, and my mom was like, when I was like 10 or something, and my mom was like, it's just a phase. Don't think about it. And so then I was like, I remember being like, I'm not going to be straight. I thought I'll deal with this later. Like, I'll just deal with this. It was almost like maybe I'll be gay later or something.
Mm-hmm. Did you date a lot, like in that middle school way or high school
I was thinking
way?
I was so asexual. I had my first kiss at like 19. And then in college, I did nothing with anybody. And I think it was like, and even me coming out as queer at like 19 in college was because I was reading queer theory. I was like,
there it is.
I went to art school, so
It
I
was
was like,
hip.
oh, the other, yes.
Yep.
So even that was how I came into it. And
Totally,
then-
absolutely the same. I was like, I'm not attracted to anyone. Because it was just like, well, I'm not attracted to men, and that would be my only option. And that means I have no sexual desire at all. And I went to like a super Christian college and just was like, I did the thing where I was like, gay people are terrifying. I cannot be near any of them because then that would kind of show that maybe I am gay.
Yeah.
And then I did a hard switch into like, actually, no, I'm an ally. And did the same thing where I'm like reading everything about queer people on like Reddits about queer people. Like, I just need to understand them a little bit more.
Oh yeah, I worked for a queer circus. Like I was like not dating a.
Haven't we all?
Where do you, is it too late to change the name of this podcast?
Queer circus? Oh, that's pretty great.
I was just like, I'm hanging out with you guys, but I don't know. Yeah, it was called Circus Amok. It's in New York. I highly recommend. It's,
Wow.
It's this woman, Jennifer Miller. She's like a bearded. She used to do Coney Island stuff. She's a bearded woman, and it's this circus that does. My parents were just like, what are we paying for? It was basically like a political circus. So it was like they would do like a circus about stop and frisk. And we had a whole dance, and we'd like go through the boroughs.
Wow.
And I was a roustabout, so I like helped the circus. But I was like, yeah, but I'm not gay.
Okay, I have
Oh
a
my
question.
gosh.
Being in this queer thing, circus thing, and like queer theory, and saying I'm not gay, did you feel other people around you being like, oh, she's totally gay? It's just a matter of time, and was that a thing?
I really think some of my close friends and my teacher even was just like, cool, yeah, just come to this party then. Like it was sort of like no one ever said anything to me, but like I think it was like very known that like she just has to meet the right lady, like that kind of. But no one was ever like, you can't say that stuff or you aren't that. It was almost like people knew it about me, or just like, take your time, because it's a bunch. This circus has been around for a while, so it was a bunch. I love. I'm just like, the circus took care
It's
of
so
me.
casual at this point.
But like, it's a lot of older gays and queers,
Yeah.
so I feel like they created a space where it was like I could hang out
That's
and
amazing.
like talk. But I kind of felt calm about it. I was like, it's gonna happen when it needs to happen.
Oh, that's cool. I think I asked that question because for me, I would have been so terrified that I've been like found out or something, you know? Like,
I think. Well, I was also. I mean, It was like that was when the 99%, all the. What's that
Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street was like, and I was living in New York, so I just was like, fuck everyone. So I think it was like a nice political
awesome.
place to be in. And I even like came out to my parents, but I hadn't dated a girl yet. So I came out at 19.
Oh my God, I came out to my parents and hadn't even like touched someone
It's
that
just like,
I
you need
was
to
like
know.
interested in. Yeah, I was just like, this is absolutely true for
How did
me,
your
and I
parents
need to tell you.
respond?
So I came out to my mom, and she called me to say, I think your brother might be gay. I said, I think I might be gay.
Oh my gosh.
And she went, oh. So she wasn't expecting that. But it's true, 100% of her children are gay. My brother and I are both gay.
I love that.
And she definitely prioritizes like us and her relationship to us, which is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's kind of helped with our relationship. But at first she was just like, it is wrong, and the Bible says it's wrong, and I wish I could rewrite the Bible for you. That's like as much as she could give me.
Yeah.
I literally did the exact same sort of scenario
Really?
with my mother, where we were sitting down. It was Christmas, and I was like, I'm going to tell her over Christmas because I need to do it in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a boyfriend at that point for a year and a half.
Wow.
And she thought he was my roommate.
Of course.
As
Of
one
course.
does.
Yeah.
Very close roommate. But we were sitting down, and she was talking about my uncle and how my uncle hated my cousin's boyfriend and this and that and this and that. And I was like, wow, I wonder what Uncle Jerry thinks of me. And she goes, well, your uncle thinks you're gay. And I go, oh, I am. And so I just literally blurted it out to her. And it was the wrong way because it took 6 hours to convince her that I wasn't joking. Because she kept going like, oh, David, that was just such a good joke. I was like, no, no. I was like, it literally in a chair starting at like 11 p.m. till 5 o'clock in the morning, literally being like, all right, okay. He is my boyfriend. We've been living together for a year. This is all that, and and then she hid herself in the bathroom for quite a while. Yeah, but it was literally the same thing where we're like, oh, your uncle thinks you're gay, and I'm like, yep, I am. So yeah,
Because your tone comes out, and you're just like, yeah, I am.
well, because I was so prepared to have the conversation over that 10 days that I was home that I was just like, oh, this is my only moment to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom, here
Yes.
it is. And actually ripping off the Band-Aid was like the best part ever, because then for those 6 hours I was just like, I could have a fucking bourbon right now.
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
sit back and let her pedal this out. But like it was a rough one.
How did you tell your parents?
Oh, I just think they were visiting me. I think they came for a I think I had I think we were
Please
doing.
just tell us you're still in the
Yes,
circus.
yeah.
I think it was on still. I think I had a stilt walking show, and yeah. But we were like in the car. I think we were in New York because they came up, and I think I said, well, I think we were talking about like gay rights. Like I think that came up in the car, but I probably started it. Like my parents aren't the type to be talking about that casually. We're in the Navy, so like military is really in there.
A little don't ask, don't tell.
Yes.
Sprinkle.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I mean, fucking wearing these boots all the time. I almost wear camo. Like I'm like, I did AmeriCorps, which is like a military.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like can't get away. But I brought it up and I was like, yeah, I'm queer. And my parents were both like, my dad was like, well, I just don't think they should get married. Like it was like they've come around
Immediately?
And, my dad was just like, I think they didn't know how to respond to it, and I think they didn't really think I was, because also this sounds like, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, in queer culture, it's like you don't look it. Like I don't look gay to you or whatever.
And I have that issue now with non-binary. I feel like I'm like slated to get top surgery sometime in the next few months.
Awesome.
And there's so much in my mind that I'm deferring until I get that, just to be like, oh, like they're like, you know, now I look trans. Like you could see me without a shirt on, and now we're starting, you know.
But it's like I'm that right. Like that. Now you can take me.
I
in.
am currently non-binary. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. This kind of like needing to adapt how you look to be taken seriously.
It's so, and I think my parents were just like, and also, I mean, after that, and I was kind of like aggressive about it. And they've come around in their own ways, but I mean, I'm not super close with them anyways. So it's like they don't care within the realm. They don't care. Like it's like whatever to them, but at the same time, I'm very like I don't give them space to care.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'm just sort of like
You don't expect that from them.
Yeah. So I mean, they don't really. They're much more fine with. I mean, my dad remarried a woman that works. She does LGBTQ rights for people in Venezuela. So it's like he's definitely like much more versed in it now. And my mom, who lives in Saudi Arabia. And
Wow.
she works for the government. It's the whole thing. But
I love your parents.
Wow.
I mean, I love where your parents live.
They're
yeah.
they're wonderful people. I love them. I love them. No, interesting journey with them.
Coming
But,
out
yeah.
to both at the same time sounds crazy to me. But
I've never.
good? I don't know. Are you equally close with both of them?
I would say I'm closer with my mom, and my mom's always just been, and I mean this in the kindest way, she just sort of doesn't have strong opinions. She's just very like, and I mean at the time I think she was, I was thinking about the best way to phrase it. I think they said what they thought they should say. I don't think the way they felt about gay, queer stuff was how they truly felt. I think they're just like, we're both from small towns.
Yeah.
We both joined the Navy at 18. This is how I should react.
Yes.
And-
Well, I bet up until then, gay rights had always been a topic that didn't necessarily affect them. So they just kind of had their like soundbite answers to anything gay.
Yeah.
And then you were like, actually, it does affect you. I am queer. And they were just like, this is all we have. You know, like,
Totally.
gay
And-
people shouldn't get married. And, you know.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think that, what I've started realizing is that like the ability to not have to learn after a certain point in life, and the comfort that gives to people. And I think there is a certain element where being a queer person, you feel something deep down inside of you that has to learn more about yourself. I think that there's a part of that's a gift for us.
Yeah.
Because we do continuously have to look inside ourselves and question who we are, where there's a certain limit if you're born into a certain part of the world or a certain society where you just immediately fit in, that the second you're out of high school or higher learning education and you're in your everyday life where you're going to work, you're coming home, you're doing the same thing over and over, you get comfortable with no change.
Yes.
That when change does come, it's suddenly a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
Rather than going like, oh, I can learn something new. It's like up until I moved out of Ohio and went to New York, I never questioned anything about myself. Like I didn't
Yeah.
question anything about history. I only had the containment of what I learned in school and what I learned from my parents, but I never went like, oh, why does this happen?
Yes.
Why does this, and because I had to learn something about myself immediately out of that, I started questioning other things, and I started growing up,
Yeah.
and I started learning where I think, and I think people get stuck in those sorts of things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And then they take it on themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of, being in a majority, too. The comfort of being in a majority, you don't necessarily have to think about things. And when you're in a minority, you need to figure out what is up with you.
Yeah.
Figure out how you fit into this when you are so different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and it's constantly changing. Like, you're saying I'm just thinking about with how does it feel to know that what will you feel like after your surgery?
Yeah.
It's like, how does that, like that's beautiful.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
know?
it definitely feels like the beginning of a long journey. I don't know if you feel the same way with like gender identity of like, I definitely don't have it yet. Like I haven't
absolutely.
found that peace yet in that specific way, but I'm definitely going to keep trying, and there are more tools that I'm finding, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And how did you come out? Did you have a big moment? Were you in the circus?
Yeah, no, I wasn't in the circus. At least no organized circus. But similar to you, actually, I was in a relationship. Basically, when I came out to myself, like concretely, not like the 7-year-old version, but when I was like, okay, this is something that you like definitely need to start facing, and kind of shed some of that shame and just started accepting myself, it became a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a question. How did you go from 7-year-old, oh no, this is bad, to I am queer and it's okay? What were some of the things that helped?
Yeah, I think there are a lot, but the quickest thing I can think of right now like the turning point was when I was faced with someone where I knew I would not be rejected. So that was
I just said, okay, yeah.
yeah. So I had this friend that was out and gay, and I became aware that they were into me. And they were my like really good friend. I was like, okay, I can make this work.
Yeah.
I can like.
That's literally. I think that's how it was for me. It's like, okay, this seems like a good setting.
Right. Yeah. Like I feel safe. I know I'm not going to be rejected.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And then we like fell in love and we're together for like a year. And along that, I came out to my older sister just like randomly. I was visiting her to like chop all my hair off because I lived in a different town anyway. So I was like visiting her, getting my like first Tegan and Sarah haircut. And I just like randomly came out to her. I just started crying and she was like, oh my God, you're pregnant, aren't you? I was like, no, I'm gay or whatever. And she was like, well, let's just call Mom and tell her right now. Like, let's just do it. I'm here with you. I'll help you. My sister, like I don't know when I would have come out to my parents without my older sister.
Wow.
We like put her on speakerphone. And my mom was just like, yeah, I know.
What? Oh my God.
Not that it was easy. Like it was really challenging. And I think she had like a delayed reaction to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was pretty obvious. But, denial can be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that happens where it's obvious, but then it's still them hearing the confirmation. You might get a totally, like you said,
Absolutely.
a delayed reaction.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say like the I know thing, and I don't know if you've talked about this previously, but the I know thing, if somebody is coming out, you should ask them how they feel rather than like revealing your own personal thing immediately after that. Maybe just say like, how are you doing today? Like make it like as opposed to
tell me everything.
Yeah.
I'm gay. Oh, tell me everything. Hug.
That was also my like biggest fear. Was,
Yes.
like, everybody knows.
It's so witch hunting.
Yeah.
Well, and
I've had
it
a
becomes
file.
about it. Then it becomes immediately about the person you're telling, rather than it being like we struggle so much with the coming out aspect of our life that like let it be our thing.
Yes.
That's true. I never thought of it that way.
It was so hard. Yeah.
Because I feel like because there is for me a little bit of a validation that I'm like, oh, like you thought I was cool, like because for me I'm just like nobody knows, like, and then I say to my friends sometimes they're like, yeah, you're pretty obvious, and I'm like, okay, but I never thought of that way where it does it takes it away from the person that needs to just be heard. And now I'm hearing your experience of my gayness instead of what my actual experience is.
Let us ask you if you knew. Let us go. Like, did you know?
You're like Mom, and you're like shaking and reading a letter, and she's like, called it. And you're like, what?
You've never had sex with a woman.
That's so.
Oh man. All right. Well, we are going to move right along. Each episode, we have a haunted word, and today our haunted word is conversion therapy. There it is. I didn't give them enough time, honestly. Shout out to everyone doing sound. Thank you. The thunder, they say when it's really far away, you count.
You count.
Exactly.
So we'll just be
See
counting.
the lightning when it
13.
In a way, I kind of like that it was so muffled because when we have like really triggering words and then like
People are already
hokey
unhinged.
sound effect comes out. But yeah, conversion therapy. What do you guys think? This is just a free for all talk. I know you have you had a movie that you made.
Yeah, I worked on a film called Boy Erased that came out last year, and then we had a subsequent podcast that came along with it called Unerased, which was a 4-part podcast that really delve into the like deep down sort of more history of how conversion therapy came about. And I mean, it's horrible. It's a bad practice, and currently we have 16 states in the country that'll legalize secular conversion therapy for teens, but working on hopefully a national elimination at some point.
Yes. Yeah, I think definitely so many people think that that's a thing of the past. You know,
Yeah.
the DSM-5, are we up to 5?
Yep.
You know, now it's no longer listed in there. Maybe with the DSM-4, actually, it was taken out. But it's still... something that I think about is people who talk about the DSM-5 and just kind of like the psychological, maybe more like bookish side of things, just being like, oh, good, conversion therapy has been taken out of that. But the people using conversion therapy, I feel like, are not necessarily looking in psychological
they don't got a
text,
they're
you
just
know?
like-
Well, because it's not a physical thing anymore, right? Like conversion therapy, as most people know it, was this archaic process with lobotomies and hospitalization, and so you could see the physical manifestation of it. Where I think it's actually a lot worse now than it was before, because it's all brain work and it's all.
Tell me more about that, because I'm still thinking about shock therapy. That's more of a thing of the past.
I mean, there is versions that are physical. I mean, obviously, there's nothing like a lobotomy anymore that's performed, but they do physical elements. But conversion therapy, for the most part, as it shows itself in the modern day, is much more of a mental therapy sort of practice, where it's actually being performed by trained therapists. And it's not even just like a pray the gay away kind of thing. It's like it's an actual like they use practices that they use in AA, and they use psychoanalysis and psychotherapies to really get into these kids' heads, to like try to manufacture a different sort of being.
Wow. And
it's like, mind your own business. That's how I feel. I'm just like, why are you spending so much time with...
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody, the conversation around hormones, I feel like the big line that I hear is like, they're pumping younger and younger kids full of hormones, and how can we do this to kids? Kids are transitioning so young, and it's like, one, we're not pumping any kids full of hormones. They're like put on hormone blockers for a long time. They actually have less hormones, like literally read a book. But then the other side of it is like, what are we doing to young religious kids? Like getting in their head in this way.
Yeah.
Totally.
Having grown up in the church, I definitely...
What kind of church?
It was like electric guitar Christianity.
Nice.
Yeah. And actually, this weekend was so crazy because I grew up going to church camp every summer, and there was a big component of anti-gay, pray the gay away, this is wrong, here are the, verses to tell you that this is a perversion and don't do it. And I went to this camp every summer, and then this weekend I went to a wedding with my sweetie, and we stayed in a cabin down the street from the camp that I grew up going to. In like truly the most like it gets better moment.
Yeah.
Like passed that camp and was like, what the fuck? That is like where I went to church camp like every summer.
That's crazy.
And pulled into like our gorgeous cabin and like set up and like popped a bottle of wine and hung out with all of our queer friends and like just had like got dressed up together, and we were in like a John Waters themed room where they had like every movie of his on DVD and like a TV on the ceiling above the bed. It was just like queer heaven.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, it's just like, oh wow, rewind the clock to when I was sitting in one of those pews and people were telling me like, man should not lay down with a man, which is...
Go ahead. I was just thinking in terms of like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've lived in like a major city since 18. Like I left and I lived in like New York and Philly and here, and so I forget about, like, I'm from Virginia, so it's like I forget the context there, and I don't really ever go back there. I've gone back a couple times, but it's like and I used to teach in like rural Virginia, so central Virginia, at this like writers camp. It's like it's really cool, young writers workshop.
Nice.
But like there's a Walmart that you'd have to go to get anything, and I had when it just came out, I did the undercut, the signifier, and I
gotta get the flags up somehow.
And I was like undercut and one dangly earring, and I just remember like going to that Walmart and being like, oh, I shouldn't go here alone. Like, which was so weird because I've been living in New York for 5 years, and I forgot. You just forget how it's so still potent in all those areas when you're not in it anymore.
No, we went when we did a research trip down to Arkansas for like to meet the memoirs writers. Family in the church and everything, and I distinctly remember because I was so comfortable with myself at that moment, and I was with like the people I love and I work with, and like I felt like I do when I'm wherever, right? Yeah. And I come down. We were about to go to the church, and I come down in my like really skinny jeans, and I had white. I had white Toms on and like a really like a tucked in shirt to my skinny jeans. And I just remember them looking at me before we went to the church, and later our director literally went like, I was gonna tell you, but like you dressed completely different from everybody else, but I didn't want to talk to you about it because you felt so comfortable. But I didn't even realize at that moment like I was signifying everything.
Yeah,
and
good.
Yeah,
good for you for feeling so like calm and confident.
Yeah.
Well, but it is that point where you you have your comfort zone. But I wonder if I was down there by myself. Had I been there by myself, would I have brought a pair of like khakis and Docker?
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
I don't know.
Well, it could be like a safety issue.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. You know, I guess we're so, sequestered in our gorgeous metropolis, and we kind of forget what it's like to be in these like more farm towns where everyone is pretty hostile to gay people still. It's like crazy.
I mean, even when in Philly where I was living the last 5 years, it was like there's like the gayborhood, which is amazing, and you can be out and have fun and everything, but like South Philly where it's like Italian, Irish, like old family, it's like I would never want to hold my ex-girlfriend's hand there because I was just like, it's not safe here. And it was like across from her house was where after Trump got elected, someone did a giant swastika, like, and you're just sort of like, oh, even though I'm in a city and I went back to Philly a couple weeks ago, and like for me, Philly's a lot gayer than LA, like in terms of women. I out here I'm like, I can't tell if you're just dressed really cool. I'm just like, I'm like, those wide-legged pants are a microaggression because I don't know. But it's so, you never know.
Yeah, and how do we push that? It kind of feels like maybe we should be more out. We should be holding hands. But then, is that your, like, do you have to put your life on the line for visibility? That shouldn't be the trade-off. Danger to hold someone's hand.
Yeah.
I think just by continuing to exist, we're doing something.
Yeah.
So many times when I like go back home,
Where are you from?
I'm from outside of Toronto.
Okay.
And I usually like fly into Detroit, and then there's like a drive, and if I like make a stop somewhere, I'm all of a sudden, like same as we're all saying, all of a sudden aware of how I look, and I never think about that. I'm like, oh, like, whoa, like people are probably looking at me thinking I'm a total misfit freak or something. Like it's that intense in that area. But like hopefully them just seeing me does something for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like buying my chips or whatever at the gas station.
Yeah.
Like hopefully it does something.
Just existing and moving around.
Not that we shouldn't be active, but
Totally.
But there are different speeds that you can click into, and just existing is a speed. Like you're fine.
Just like continuing to be queer.
Absolutely.
If that's what you are.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna move right into questions, honey. I hope you guys are ready. This first question is no name, but here we go. Hi. My question is about reclaiming identities. I technically fit into the label lesbian, but I feel uncomfortable identifying myself this way because the only times I heard it growing up were A, as an insult because I was not traditionally feminine, or B, in a highly sexualized way. What are some ways you found what are some ways you found to be more comfortable with or reclaim labels / slurs? Do you have to? Thank you. Love the show.
Really good
That's
question.
very nice.
Great question.
I feel like I relate to the the word lesbian is a sexual word, or even like bisexual. Like it's like it feels like when I tell you what I am, I'm telling you who I fuck, and it's like I don't really want to talk. I'm very I don't like PDA. I'm a very private person in that way. So like, but it is who I am. I feel like for me it was like finding friends, like finding people. Having queer female friends changed because I was like, oh, I'm not trying to date you, and it's not because I had my gay guy friends for a while, and I was like, cool, this is fun, this is great, but it's like I can't fully connect on like what it is to be a woman and be queer, and I feel like for me having the friends helped me like claim that word more, because it's like we're hanging as a group without there any. It's not dating. There's nothing sexual. These are just my friends, and I can like find that word better without there being the pressure of sex.
The word lesbian.
Yeah.
And I think going along that too is I think a huge element is always because when you do get that, when you do get, oh, you're gay, the immediate reaction is to think about your sex life or your sexuality rather than reminding yourself, and I always have to do that, is like if like for instance, like on breakdowns, anytime you see the first thing that they say anything about a character is gay, like, and you're like, but that does not refer to anything that will help me learn who this person is. It literally is just telling me you want somebody who holds their hand a certain way, you know? And so, and I think there's a huge element in reminding yourself, and I always have to remind myself the other things I do. Like if somebody goes like, oh, you're a gay man, it's like, oh, right, I have 2 dogs, I have a husband, I go to ceramics.
I am fun.
I am fun. The things that make me special that aren't about when I was 19 years old and came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think there is something else going on in this question, which is I completely agree. For a long time, I didn't want to use the word lesbian. I would say I was gay, which I think has to do with this kind of like male gaze on sexuality. And I was trying to kind of like tuck away and hide myself. Because it feels like when you're like, I'm a lesbian, it almost feels like you just feel this like rustling of like, ooh, what? You know, like, and you're like, get away from me. I'm not like in your fucking
It's like at the restaurant.
Yeah. Yes, all those waiters come back and they're like, hey. Lesbian is just so exotic and ooh,
Just call yourself Carol, It's like,
I'm actually Carol.
Yeah, like I'm Carol.
Yeah.
I feel like too, for me, it's like coming out with being like asserting more of my masculine energy, and so the word gay is more masculine than lesbian to me. Do you know what I mean? So to be saying it's like, oh, I feel like I'm becoming more of a woman here. I don't want to be more feminine. Like I want to date. Like that was like my process.
That's
with
very
the word.
interesting.
But
yeah,
I just identify as single right now.
I put that out there. Hang loose.
That's why I came on here.
All right. Next question. Hi, it's Justin.
Hi, Justin.
He, him, his, closeted bi. I think my friend was hitting on me at space camp. There were, so cute. There were 4 signs. 1, he wanted to compare heights by standing front to front. 2, he suggested that I take the 2 inner foosball handles while he took the 2 outer ones, so he was basically spooning me. 3, he tried to grab my hand when we were walking once. 4, he told me he could give me computer science lessons. So, was he hitting on me or just being really friendly?
I love this.
I love this.
Or not kid.
Who knows? I love this
camp.
person.
Yeah, this
Justin.
person. Yeah. And I love Justin's friend.
Yeah. I need to know, was he hitting on him? What do you guys think?
I don't want to be. I feel like it sucks when you feel like someone hit and you tell your friend about it and they agree with you and then nothing ever happens. But this, I would say, if they're physical, those are all physical cues. It's not like it's like the foosball table, baby. I mean, that's like shown to golf.
I would maybe like, if I were is Justin?
Yeah.
If I were in Justin's position, I would maybe try and like throw something back out, something back that's similar.
Yeah.
So not to like be too schemy, but there is maybe a goal here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
I think you should
it
take up
definitely
the
sounds
lesson.
like he's interested in something, and responding to it, if that's what you want, might be like a safe bet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the computer was a computer lesson.
Yeah, computer science lessons.
I think you should take them.
Yeah.
I think
I think it's a good skill no matter
either
what.
it's a win-win.
I mean, you'll learn
Emerging
something.
economy. Yeah.
yeah. I agree. I'm excited.
I think, I think whether he was hitting on you or not, you learned something about yourself that you liked that attention. So that's good to go
or
forward
didn't.
with. Or didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Closeted bi though. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But you're right.
Yeah, I think if it's something that interests you and you feel like you can verbalize it, I think there's I also think it's like have a talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
why not like just be like, hey, like I would have loved if I was at space camp and was like, hey, so like we were at the foosball table. What did that mean? Anything other than you liking the outside
Yeah.
handles? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would be so interesting to discuss.
I would love to
Yeah.
be more like
be
that.
amazing.
I
Me
feel like as
too.
a queer woman, I feel like I hang out with girls all the time, and I'm like, I don't know if you're queer. We both are bisexual. I don't know what
Yeah,
this thing is. What's the
yeah.
and then so I feel like to be able to talk about it is so
Yeah. Yeah.
because you don't want to be creepy. But I don't think.
Well,
I don't
Justin
think,
sounds really. You sound very understanding of yourself.
Yeah.
intuitive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really breaking it down too.
Yeah.
I identify with that amount of like precise work.
Specificity.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, we have time for one more. I am just going to pick. Here we go. I'd love to come into my own and start feeling more sexy. However, it seems most clothes, hairstyles, etc. are designed to either make women look hot or make men look hot. So what are some tips for non-binary people? What do I accentuate? What might it mean for someone to like me if I'm hot? Of course, I know most of all, it's important to feel confident and healthy. Just hoping for some practical tips. Thank you, Allie.
Oh man.
Yeah, take it away.
No, I mean, I'll take the tips.
Yeah.
It's a hard one, but
It does feel very like earlier you were joking about like Starbucks a la carte, like we get to just pick what we want. So I think that is the fun of being non-binary. I feel like you can look at it as kind of a burden, like nothing fits, but then you can also kind of flip that narrative on its head and say, actually, everything fits.
yeah.
Everything is non-binary if we're taking away the binary,
Yeah. I feel like something that I still try and do is remind myself that if I go down a certain road, it's not permanent. Like with a
Yes.
certain clothing
yeah,
option or
yeah.
haircut. Like I recently got my haircut and I was like, oh, is it too short? I was like, it fucking grows. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be fine. And so I think taking risks, you'll figure out what it is that makes you feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be those days where you get dressed in the morning and you leave and you're like, this isn't working. But then the next, you have a lot of new days ahead of you.
Yeah,
to just
yeah.
keep trying.
I would say
things.
maybe keep some sort of like if this is like dysphoria centered, some sort of dysphoria journal where you're kind of like writing
Yeah,
down what
that's a
makes you
great
feel
idea.
dysphoric specifically, and then you can kind of look back and be like, oh, this has been bothering me for a while. For me, it was definitely my chest, and I was like, I've always heard about binders, never really tried one, and then I just like bought one online and was like, does this work? And I was like, yes, it does. And that's, just kind of start chipping away if something's popping up a lot.
Yeah.
Address that.
And
Jackets,
there are people
belts.
out there that are
Belts changed
100%
everything for
gonna
me.
think you're hot. Like there are people that are
Yes.
gonna find you
That's
really
yeah.
sexy and really hot. I promise.
Yeah.
I heard this guy once say like, "You are someone. Everyone is someone's fantasy."
Yes.
I'd love to think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna go with that all day long.
I think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's like, there's someone. I feel like in terms of just like coming out in general, the way you dress is so. Because I feel like when I first came out, I was downplaying like having boobs and having a butt and everything, because I was just like, well, lesbians won't like me and then it's like, it's so complicated to be like, no, I just need to dress in what's going to make me feel happy.
Yes,
but I mean,
totally.
I feel like I go from just, lately I've been like, oh, I like what that person's wearing, I'm going to buy that. Instead of being like, I don't want to copy that, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
if that's dope, I want that too.
I want that. Yeah, totally. I think,
Recondo your clothes all the
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go and say thank you to each individual shirt and like figure
And buy
out
more.
what to get rid of, and then go buy more. Yeah, go to like a vintage store and try on a bunch of stuff. You know, like
That's a good idea.
maybe grab one or two things you didn't think you would like, and
Or
just
that you didn't think
try
you
it,
should be
know?
allowed to. There's this whole thing of like, oh,
Yes.
I shouldn't wear that, or I'm not like, I don't know. It's just, wear what you want to wear.
Yeah,
But
we
I get
talked
that.
about this a lot. Like thinking visibility, like we have to look a certain way to attract people, and I
Yeah.
feel like that goes out the window if you're just able to be more upfront, a la Justin.
Yeah.
And I just say like,
Just say what's up.
I'm into you.
And I think a lot of it is also observation too. If the point is to like see what other people are thinking about it, or maybe do what you said, is like try something you wouldn't normally put on and wear it in the world just for a day or for 2 hours, and see how people react to
Yes.
it, and see if you like that reaction.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then take it off immediately.
And then take it off immediately and hide it in the chest and get back to your circus job. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. That is the show. As we're leaving, where can people find you? Should you wish to be found? What are you doing? Let's plug it.
I'll go. I use the Instagram at Annie Parody _. Hit me up. Not in a creepy way. And then I host a monthly character show over at the Ruby.
Cool.
And it's on the same night as Gayest Astrology. So if you're in LA, come to my show. We'll go
Fun.
dancing in the satellite. It's a great time.
Cool. That does sound
Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also on the gram, so at Liza Stegall. I'm sure that'll be written somewhere.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll gram it too, at David Joseph Craig. And I just want to plug it, since we talked about conversion therapy, if you want to get involved, some great places to get involved are obviously the Trevor Project. They also are doing a program called 50 Bills, 50 States, which I think is still an active website too. The number 50 Bills 50 States.com, and that's to actively look for legal action in the states that don't have laws against conversion therapy. And also Born Perfect is a beautiful place to go to if that's a company that is also on the front lines of ending conversion therapy.
Oh,
nice.
That's great. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week. Hey, what's up? It's Allie. If you like college humor and you want to support us, please sign up for Dropout. For the low price of a bag of crickets for your pet lizard, you'll get videos a whole week sooner, to chat with us in the Dropout Discord, and exclusive content such as my show, Paranoia. Your parents came to visit, and what's the worst thing that can happen to you?
You die.
That was so earnest.
Worse than that is you accidentally kill your parents.
Oh my God.
Sign up for your free trial today, and please send me a picture of your lizard. I want to see her. I want to see her dance.